it's time that we have to stop looking at because you play for a major conference and think you are the cream of the crop when it comes to basketball, when a lot of these major conference programs don't look like good basketball teams.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Throwdown Thursday edition, we're going to take you inside the March Madness selection process. We're going to talk about teams that possibly can win. We're also going to talk about, on the women's side, who possibly can win. And in segment 3, the White House is calling some people together to have a meeting. We're going to have that conversation. Joining us today, our basketball correspondent, Danny Thompson, our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, and our newest college basketball correspondent, Trey Lowe, is joining us today for his first Throwdown Thursday edition. Gentlemen, let's get to the men's net ranking. Shout out to Coach Franchise, who hates the net. Duke is 1, Michigan's 2, Arizona 3, Florida is 4, and Illinois is 5. Gonzaga has dropped to 6 based upon the whooping they took from St. Mary's. And in terms of mid-major, St. Mary's has rocketed to 21 in the net. St. Louis is 24. Utah State's 25. Santa Clara is 41. And Robert, New Mexico is 42. But let's get to the war room. This is inside of March Madness. So there's a 12-person panel, and the field is decided by 12 members in terms of ADs and commissioners serving 5-year terms. The composition is strictly balanced between the autonomy conferences and the non-autonomy conferences to ensure mid-major representation. There's a 3-phase process. 1 is selection, identifying the 37 at-large bids. And remember, there's only 68 teams, so 37 are at-large. You have to rank the full field from 1 to 68. And then you got to kind of go through the scrubbing phase of once you get the seed. So after the automatic bids and the at-large bids, you then try to avoid, playing the same team in the first round, something of that nature. Members must leave the room if their own school is being discussed. If the committee chair's school is on the bubble, which is the last 4 at-large spots, they also must recuse themselves. And the NIT, the National Invitational Tournament, now uses data-driven exempt bid system, awarding 16 stop spots to top-performing teams in the ACC, the SEC, and the top 12 conferences with Mr. Big Dance. But wait for it, the Big 12 has an agreement with College Basketball Crown, which we will talk about as well. Wow, we've got a lot going on. So, Robert, I'm going to come to you first. After having a little bit of an idea of how the committee comes up with the teams after the automatic bids, anything stick out to you as I complain about mid-majors like Auburn still being on the bump? Welcome to Coach.
Auburn, 15-14. Really? And if you look at all of the bracketology stuff, Auburn's not even on. They're not even last 4 in. They're not even the last 4 seeded in. They're all the way in. They have them at like a 10. It is absurd. Is absolutely absurd. Anyway, so a couple of things. I mean, first of all, one thing about the committee that I strongly disagree with is that all of their voting is done by secret ballot. I really disagree with that. I think that if you're going to hold I think that if the committee is going to be held accountable for selections, and we throw that word around all the time, accountability. I don't know what that really would mean in a situation like this, but if we're going to hold people accountable for, for their selections, those should be public. I don't think all of that work should be done in public. I think that the committee tends to be bound up a lot in not just the net, but you also have KenPom, you have BPI, you have KPI, you have all of these different metrics that that people use, and I just feel like at some point you actually have to watch games. You have to watch games. If you're watching basketball and you watch Miami of Ohio, and there's a lot of debate right now, are they in if they lose a game? If you watch them, you would say that's a tournament team. They look like a tournament team. They play like a tournament team. That's a good team. If you watch Auburn, what you see are a bunch of guys who are incredibly talented athletically who don't know how to play basketball. And they do not play well together. And that's why they're 15-14. Yes, I know they play in the SEC. Yes, I know they have an extremely difficult schedule. Taken, I understand. They're not a tournament team. They're not. Watch them. They're not a tournament team.
Yeah. Okay, Danny, welcome to the inside of tournament selection. Now that I've given you the particulars, and we've talked about the net all year, so your lens hopefully has evolved. I know it has. What are you thinking about as we are now in March?
I mean, hearing how the committee does the selection process, it gives me a better viewpoint of how they look at this, because I'm with Robert. At this point, y'all need to watch basketball games, because if y'all really think Auburn, I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna do it like in the Bible. Auburn is a tournament team over a team like Santa Clara and a lot of these other mid-major programs who look more like tournament teams than Auburn does, then you have watched no basketball this entire season. I've seen teams like, I was just watching St. Louis a couple of days ago. They lost their last game the last time I was watching them.
Mm-hmm.
But they have struggled against teams like VCU and Dayton, who look 10 times better than what Auburn is doing right now. So I've always said this as a guy who played at a mid-major school, went to the tournament back in 2007, 2008. It's time that we have to stop looking at because you play for a major conference and think you are the cream of the crop when it comes to basketball, when a lot of these major conference programs don't look like good basketball teams. Like Robert brought up Auburn. I brought up Auburn. We're missing out Kentucky. We're missing out teams like TCU, who's probably going to get in. When you have mid-major programs who have better records, better resumes, and look more like tournament teams than these major conference programs do. So I think it's time that the committee stop preferencing and favoring major conference programs. It's time to start giving more bids to these mid-majors, because if you're still questioning if Miami, Ohio should get into the tournament if they lose one game, you haven't been watching basketball at all. It's just that simple.
All right. So, Trey, one, we're excited about having you on the show. And here's one of the reasons why we're excited. You played in a multi-bid conference where Danny played in a historically one-bid conference. And you also had the chance to coach in a multi-bid league, which hopefully we'll get a multi-bid league this year. So now that you see how the sausage is made, so to speak, what are your thoughts?
I have mixed thoughts, honestly. I feel as though I definitely agree with Danny in terms of these higher ups. You got to stop putting just because you have the name, you got the coach behind you, that you automatically get a pass into the NCAA tournament when you don't really have the best basketball team, or you don't really have a tournament team, period, at that. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I think a lot of these mid-majors and lower major schools probably do have better teams and better overall coaching and just better things like that, whereas though they can probably make a better little run in the NCAA tournament rather than some of these Auburn teams or teams like that. And honestly, I do think Miami of Ohio should definitely, regardless of what happened, they should definitely make the tournament. Just because they are there. I think I've watched some of their games. They are a very good basketball team. They're a very well coached team. They listen very well. They play together as a team. And I've watched the Auburn game. And I'm a Jersey guy, so they have the kid Taha Pettiford on there. So I pay attention to that. But they're all like Robert said, they're all athletic kids who play good one-on-one basketball, but team basketball, no such thing. So, and I think this is what you're seeing now with the NIL and things like that, because now these coaches just going out and buying kids, not thinking of, okay, how can I get a team where everybody like forms with each other, fits with each other, rather than just buying the best team out there possible.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah,
go ahead.
sorry. But with coaching and playing in a multi-bid league, I think it makes it more. I thought it was more exciting, honestly. So getting happy that any given day you're going to play good teams, whether it's Wichita State, UConn at the time when I was in, where they were in our league, UCF, USF. So all the teams are good. So every game is always competitive. And coaching, I think, is a little bit more frustrating on the coaching side, just because like you've won a certain amount of games, so you think, okay, even though I may have lost the championship, I still got a chance to go in. But then this brings me back to the point where the school, the SEC school, the ACC school has the bigger name, the bigger coaching name, they get the automatic big and they kicking us out. So it's just, I have mixed feelings about it.
All right. So it's March, and we have the NCAA tournament, and we also have the other postseason tournaments. And unlike college football, where there's a lot of opt outs, the college basketball crown is trying to stroke a power play. So for the second year, the college basketball crown, or the CBC, has streamlined its format, cutting the field from 16 teams down to an elite 8-team bracket. The field is anchored by top two teams from the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the Big East that failed to make the NCAA tournament, plus two wild card at large selections. So, unlike the NCAA tournament or the NIT, the CBC features a dedicated $500,000 NIL prize pool. And in 2025, the champion Nebraska Cornhuskers, excuse me, that's funny, took home a $300,000 NIL package. So now you've got the NIT getting bumped. You've got these power conferences kind of stacking the deck. And you also have a tournament like the CBI, the College Basketball Invitational, who is something that you have to do. You got to like pay to play, similar to holiday tournaments. Robert, when you see all of this, and you're a former AD, what are your thoughts as we are now in March?
You know, the world has, I mean, clearly the world has changed, right? And you better pay attention to what the rules currently are so that you are able to play within them and take as much advantage of the situations that present themselves as you can, right? So if I am able to get into that CBC tournament where there's an NIL pot at the end of that rainbow, well, then we want to make sure that we're in play for that, right? If our postseason participation is going to be contingent upon our net ranking and KenPom and that kind of stuff, then as an athletic director, I need to work with the basketball coach to say, okay, what are some things that we can do given our current situation, our current financial restraints, all of those kinds of things, to bump that up a little bit and give us a better opportunity to put ourselves in position for that kind of stuff. It really, and then the third thing is and I can't even imagine this, but you better know the NIL rules, and you better be able to maximize any money you have. You better be able to maximize that to get your best return on investment. And you've referenced this, but like Nick Saban said, can't pay the wrong kid.
Cannot do it. Danny, you're a one-bid conference person. If you didn't make it, CBC's not calling you. And more likely than not, the NIT's not calling you, but the CBI might. What do you think about teams that got to pay X amount of dollars to continue their season in this age of NIL? What do you think?
Well, speaking from experience, we lost to Robert Morris back in 2008, 2009. And that's when the different tournaments started coming into play because we got invited to the College Basketball Insider tournament.
Go, Joe.
We got invited to that, and we wound up playing James Madison. And we lost the game, but that's when the extra tournaments started coming into play, especially in the postseason. So I think these extra tournaments do play a factor as far as for mid-major programs to get them to still play. But I'm still in the mindset that even though you're in a one-bid league, which is what hurts, a lot of those conferences try to get into the tournament. I think this is where those extra tournaments come into play. Now, the CBC, with the whole NIL aspect behind it, adds a different layer to these postseason tournaments because now you're starting to wondering, are these tournaments going to pay you? Especially if you're paying to play in them, and this is where I wish FD was still here. What's my return of investment on playing in said tournament? Because this is a big deal, especially with now we couldn't get to the NCAA tournament. The NIT is not going to call us. What do we do? So I think these extra postseason tournaments will be much more of a factor as time goes on. And Robert said it best. If teams and programs better get acclimated because NIL and these postseason tournaments are going to be here for the long haul.
All right. So Trey, I'm gonna come to you because you're recently wrapped up some coaching at this level. You've been in those locker rooms.
Mhm.
You've got players who are disappointed, obviously, they didn't make the big dance. And now you've got a situation where at your level, CBC ain't calling.
Mm-hmm.
NIT may not call.
Depending on how good we did.
Depending on how good you did. You also have players making money, and this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
So would you do a CBI or how do you think about the secondary postseason circuit? What are your thoughts?
Way I look at it is it's a money grab, honestly, on both sides. So looking at it from a business perspective, in terms of them getting you to join, they know you want to join because you want to bring more money to get some of these better kids to go after you're at these lower or these mid-major schools. So if I'm a coach, I'm looking, okay, we may have to pay to get in, but let's see if we can win this thing now. I can keep all the players I just had this past year if I want to keep them there and pay them a little bit more. And now they're not going to these other schools or these bigger schools and wasting a year of not playing or anything like that. So like I said, I look at it on both sides just because it's a money grab at the same time. But I think at the same time, a lot of these schools and these coaches then use it as a way to either pay to get more players or better players there or keep some of the players that they already had there.
Yeah. So I want to ask, and I'm going to go to Robert on this one because I need that admin thought. Okay, I'm in said tournament, and we're doing well. And we all know, all of us on this panel know about the handshake line and the conversations that happen in the handshake line. So is it better not to play Robert and hide, or is it better to play, get exposure for your program for the chance that somebody might take yours, but because they've seen you on TV, you might be able to take somebody else's? What do you think, Rob?
I'm in the latter school of thought. And not just because I want to play, I want to compete, but also because you get our program exposure, you get our school exposure, you get other people seeing that we are having success. You get people seeing how we play. You get people seeing how this coach coaches. I think all of those things in the current landscape are a benefit. Does that give other people the opportunity to see those people and potentially take them? Yes. And I think the benefits in that situation outweigh that possibility.
Yeah, to wrap this piece up, can't play scared, can't coach scared. I want to have so much talent that you come take it. And that's why Danny went to the Mount, because I can't be scared that somebody's going to take him. Wait, somebody took him. So, with that being said, in segment 2, our panel is going to tell you which women's team to follow as we are in March. We'll be right back on the Coaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Coaches Podcast in segment 2, women's game. Whatever you saw 4 weeks ago is going to be the same thing now. UConn won, UCLA, South Carolina, Texas, and LSU, mid-majors. There's good news and bad news. The good news, Richmond has moved up. The bad news is they've moved up to 37, Robert. Princeton is 39. South Dakota State is 43. North Dakota State is 45. And Rhode Island for the A-10 is 47. We are now in March, gentlemen. Danny, you have seen a lot of these games. Who is your favorite headed into March Madness, sir? Which team?
Let's not sugarcoat it. It's UConn. I mean, why beat around the bush anymore? UConn is playing the best basketball in the country right now. If I had to pick a team to win it, I mean, I'm going to go with UConn. But if I have to pick a team to follow, again, I mentioned her on the last episode. TCU is a team that y'all need to pay attention to because they have a solid core group around them, of course, led by Olivia Miles, that can cause headaches for teams like a South Carolina, a Texas, a UCLA. Because, Robert, again, you brought up a good point. They have a go-to person. And because they have a go-to person, it's going to be hard for them. Because if you could keen on that, you keen on her, they had other girls on the floor who can cause damage to your team. So to win it, I'm picking. I think UConn's going to take it again this year.
All right, Trey, I'm gonna bump you. Trey, I'm gonna bump you to 2. Who's gonna win, sir? You watched it. Who we got?
Yeah, I'm a big South Carolina fan, honestly. I love Dawn Staley, Philly roots, Temple people. So I just like who she is as a person, how she has her team always just fighting and playing tough and things like that. So I'm about to go with South Carolina.
All right, Robert, we've watched a lot of this. Are we with Danny with UConn? Are we with Trey in South Carolina? Can UCLA sneak in? What do you think?
I'm 100% with Danny on this one. I've seen, one thing that ESPN is doing really well right now, and not to shout anybody out, but they've got SEC women's basketball on Sundays, and they usually have 2 very good games. And I mean, the SEC top to bottom is very, very good. And, Texas, South Carolina, LSU, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, all of those teams are really, really good. None of them are anywhere near as good as UConn. And yes, UConn hasn't played anybody for a while because of the league they're in. That is not their fault. You play who's on your schedule. But outside of the conference, has anybody challenged them this year? The answer to that is no. They've played South Carolina. They spanked South Carolina. I mean, it's that's what it is. I mean, they are by far the best team. And, and I think they're going to continue to be that way until Gino says he's done.
Yeah. All right, so fans, with that, in segment 3, we're going to introduce you to the College Sports Roundtable and get our panel's thoughts about what's coming up this week. Be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here, and for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. And in segment 3, the White House Huddle, Saving College Sports. So President Donald Trump chairs the College Sports Roundtable, and this coming week, there's going to be a summit aimed at addressing the fractured landscape of NIL, the transfer portal, and the looming threat of athlete employment status. So the vice chair of this committee is Governor Ron DeSantis and Randy Levine. The guest list features a who's who of legacy sports figures like Nick Saban and Tiger Woods, who played golf at Stanford, and also media executives from ESPN and Fox Sports. Billionaire Cody Campbell is pushing for a saving college sports model, which is centralized media rights. And this is in direct conflict with the Power Four commissioners, Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, who want to maintain individual conference supremacy while gaining federal antitrust protection. We also have the wild, wild west out there with street agents targeting younger athletes with exploitative contracts that in turn, a lot of times go well beyond the standard rates for contract employees. This is crazy. It's a lot going on. The meeting will take place. I have my thoughts, but Robert, when you saw this come across your desk and this is what's going to happen this coming week, what did you think?
And what's that Shakespeare quote? Full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Nothing is coming of this. This is a bunch of people who have no current skin in the game other than the media executives, and their perspective, while important, doesn't have anything to do with athletics itself. And they're going to have a bunch of conversations, and they're going to take a bunch of pictures, and in the end, nothing's going to happen. That's where it is. If you don't have conference commissioners, if you don't have athletic directors, if you don't have athletes, I mean, get Fernando Mendoza, get one of these, get a couple of college basketball. I mean, get a couple of athletes to be on there and talk about it. Tiger Woods. Okay, cool. I mean, have Tiger on the committee because everybody knows the name. Tiger went to Stanford for 2 years and played golf. and that's it. You know, Nick Saban has been out of the game for what, 3 or 4 years now. I mean, it's it's dumb, is what it is. I'm sorry, I can't put it any better than that.
Trey, you just left this, and you may go back in. When I shared this with you in the show notes, as somebody who, again, just last year was in the locker room, what'd you think when you saw the College Sports Commission roundtable?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like Rob said, I think it is very dumb, honestly, just because now we're in year, what, 3 or 4 of NIL, things like that, right? So why now do you care about what's going on? Why now you trying to make any changes or adjustments? You should have made the adjustments and the proper precaution before allowing athletes to get all this money and allowing, agents and other people to get involved with these kids. You know what I'm saying? So you can't wait till it's already happening, and now there's no limit on how much money a kid can get or how much money or how a transfer thing. So like, why are you now trying to put on handcuffs and try to bring it down and try to comment? So I feel like it's a waste of time right now, especially when you want to do it now already when it's been 3-4 years into it already. That's just my point of it. And I'm not saying as an athlete, you're kind of today's athlete, you're going where the money is. So which is not always the right case or the right thing to do, but which is how these kids are. These kids want the fast money, they want all the money, and 9 times out of 10 they don't know what to do with the money, with all this money. So having, I think what the NCAA should have done was hire financial advisors for a certain amount for school so they can help these kids and things like that, just keep control of their money. Because a lot of these kids' parents don't even know what to do with the money. A lot of these kids' parents have never had this much money in their life now, and now you're trying to get this money from your kid and you're spending, you're using it, you're not doing the right things you should be doing to grow and invest your money. And instead you're buying cars, buying watches, buying chains, and your money just depreciates and goes away.
All right, Danny. Again, before, and I'm staring at Robert to make sure I'm calm before I speak about this issue. What did you think when you saw the notes?
So I heard about this roundtable coming up for about 2 or 3 weeks now. And I was wondering who all is going to be speaking at this quote unquote King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table type of discussion situation they got going on here. And I decided to look it up. So we already know Trump is going to be there with DeSantis and Levine. Here are some of the names that we didn't know. So we knew about Tiger. Then they got Bryson DeChambeau. So 2 golfers. Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, and Mac Brown. Mac Brown is the only person of those 3 who has been in this environment and understands what can be spoken about, right? Tim Tebow and Charlie Ward are the 2 former players, right? They got the 4 major conference commissioners, Sankey, Pacetti, Yormack, and Phillips. You got the chairman and the committee person for ESPN and Fox Sports. And then, of course, you have former government officials and former sports team officials up in the front office. There's an old statement that I've been wanting to say for a long time because the NCAA has been trying to find answers to these solutions for the longest time. You knock on the door long enough, you'll get your answer. And unfortunately, it's going to be an answer no one is going to like. Because all this is just smoke with no fire behind it. It's going to be nothing from this. I don't see the point of this. This is something, as Trey said, should have been figured out 3 years ago, after year 1, or hell, even before year 1 of NIL started coming into play. So this is just a smoke and mirrors tactic to say we're trying to get it figured out, but nothing's going to come from this.
Yeah. So for me, the first thing I saw was a lack of current student athletes involved And I saw a lack of diverse representation, including women, because Title IX is real and it's a big deal. So that's the first thing. The second thing is all of this is very real to the CKA Safe Project because my doctoral research was on Division I student athletes finding a better balance between academic and athletic motivation. Because when will we talk about obtaining the college degree as opposed to exhausting eligibility? And the further you go away from some type of academic component, the more we just lose sight that we're nonprofits. These are state schools. And look at what you're doing to the educational aspect of your state school in terms of how much tuition is and whether or not college has been devalued. That's a separate question. So instead of complaining about it, the CKSA project is actively conducting 3 research studies because as president-elect of the Drake Group, I've had the pleasure and the honor to be on Capitol Hill to talk to both sides of the aisle, and both sides do want knowledge. They want information. So we're studying student-athlete motivation post-COVID, post-NIL, post-transfer portal. We're studying student-athletes' thoughts on collective bargaining. 1, do they know what collective bargaining is? And 2, is that something they're interested in? The best way to do it is to ask and then allow the data to guide your decision-making. And then 3, coaches. Coaches have not been heard because most of them didn't sign up to do all of this. They got into coaching because they wanted to coach. So we're researching and asking coaches about how this is right now. So have your meeting. I will never tell you not to meet, but if there's no end goal after the meeting, it's just that a meeting for the sake of meeting. We will eat your donuts. We will drink your coffee. We will hobnob. We will take your picture. Again, I'm being an educator right now. Most professional development is to say we were there, but we haven't developed anything. So with that, Robert, close me out before we wrap up with a lot of positive.
No, I mean, what you said is 100% accurate. I mean, nothing's going to come of this. Nothing will come of this. There will be more coming from, anything that Cody Campbell decides to do, the NIL guy from Texas Tech. If he decides to do something, then we'll see something happen because he's got the money to actually make it happen. All those tired old guys that Trump has got coming to this meeting, nothing's coming of that. Cody Campbell decides to do something. Now you're talking.
Yeah. All right. So to wrap up, I want to send my heartfelt congratulations to the Hood College basketball team for winning the MAC Conference Championship. The head coach, Chad Dickman, Art Claiborne, who played for me and is still on the staff, just kudos. And the reason why is 20 years ago, Tom Dickman, Monte Hill Sr., and myself led a team in their 4th year of existence. Hood went from being from being a single-sex college to co-ed, and we fought like heck to get in the conference, and we won our conference regular season championship, but we lost in our conference championship game. So we sat on that bubble. And unlike the NCAA tournament, the Division III tournament was on the internet, and we were waiting to hear the teams, and they went in alphabetical order, and we had to hit refresh and refresh. When they said our names, my goodness, there was an eruption. And shout out to Clyde Moore, our manager, and Ryan Jungins, one of our players, who helped me organize these thoughts. And then moving forward, since I've left Hood in 2013, Hood College, with their athletic director, Dr. Susan Kolb, and everybody involved, has still been a family to me. I often take middle school students, regular kids, to Hood College for their first college visit. They get to go to the dining hall, which is cool. They get to sit in a classroom. They get a tour. They get to watch games. They get to meet with people. And then more importantly than anything, and Robert can understand this, they get to go back to school and see that there's a different life than what's just in your neighborhood. So when you're a part of this hood family, and I'm still so hood, I'm just super stoked that they got a chance to not just sit on that bubble, but possibly host a home game. So congratulations, gentlemen. We're rooting for you, and go get that thing. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority of coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. Also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. Follow us on the X platform at Odd Coaches. And for more information about the CKA Save Project or to make a donation to support our work, visit us on the web at cksaveproject.org. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches Podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.cksaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.